let's discuss the pros and cons of land expropriation on the continent of Africa. Now, can anyone say that we weren't going to have a conversation like this one day? That we didn't actually consider that one day, the land was taken away from us during a harsh colonization process, millions of people massacred, chaos, loss of identity, culture, way of life. So, did we really think that one day we wouldn't have a conversation about land actually being taken away from white farm owners, as it occurred in Uganda, Zimbabwe, and a few other places? Now, there are pros and cons. The main, in terms of the pros, one of the main benefits would be that we actually reclaim land that was actually owned for generations and generations. Back to the Stone Age, we could go back far in time. This was ancestral land, so to actually take it back, that's a major win for Africans. We get the W, and Europeans, you all take this L. The L is for the European in this case, because ultimately we had to do something about it. Um, I, for one, never thought paying for the land was an option, because if you pay for something that was originally yours, that's an additional slap in the face. I mean, the apartheid regime was a brutal, murderous regime, and here it is. They took land that was originally owned by our ancestors for millennia, for probably 1 million years of history on the continent of Africa. We don't really know how far back our history goes, but the fact that these people want to trample there and build McDonald's and KFC on land that was owned by our great 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 grandfathers and mothers is a disgrace. So I think to expropriate the land and take back the land is actually a good decision. I mean, it may seem hostile. Some people say it's racist, but what about the colonization process and taking it in the first place? Didn't that happen? So I just think, in terms of the pros, it was a major W for Africa to do something like that, and I encourage other African nations to do the same. It doesn't have to be with the same brutality and injustice that was beset on Africa. We don't have to do as the Europeans did when they took the land. We don't have to murder anyone. We just give you your walking papers, probably a ticket on the next flight. You can probably take some souvenirs like pictures and things like that you may have taken, things like that. But as far as any remuneration or compensation, I say nil, zero, zilch. Okay, this was our land, the land of our ancestors. I don't even know if maybe my family was from South Africa. I was a part of the Ma'afa slave trade, brutality, brainwashing of African people. So I'm here in the West speaking English, and I don't even know my cultural heritage because of this process. I'm here in the Bahamas speaking about this. I don't know where my roots originally stemmed from, but the fact that I'm over here speaking English speaks volumes about the brutality that took place over the course of the last 500 years. Let's be honest. And so, to see that an African leader has the testicular fortitude to do it, that's a major thumbs up from me. But as far as the cons, okay, you have the international community that is not going to like this. In terms of diplomacy, it may not look too good. Some investors might actually they want to second guess actually investing in South Africa because of this. But, I think, yeah, I think we just need to be conscious of the fact that it was long overdue. It was actually long overdue, and for us to reclaim something which is our legacy, which is our heritage, that's a very powerful step. So I appreciate it, but there will be some cons. You're gonna have the international community. You're gonna have a little outcry, some fake outrage from the press, from the media. They're not gonna like that. Some people might feel a little skeptical about investing or doing business with the country. But I mean, what was the consideration when they did the colonization of the country in the first place? Were they thinking about the international community? In fact, they didn't have to worry about that. The international community was in cahoots, and they all wanted a carving of the African pie. So, I mean, we shouldn't really worry about the repercussions. There's going to be some discomfort. You know, some of the way of life may have to change, but we need to put some farming initiatives in place. You know, we need to enlist the aid of neighboring African countries, the African diaspora, hold dialogues and conferences, and work out ways that we can all come together and invest in ourselves, create our own economy, trade amongst ourselves, and eventually people will have to accept it. The same way that the Jews went into Palestine, established a whole nation state, and have gained some international clout. I think, you know, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. You know, this is our land. And so, in signing off, I just like to ask for you to like, subscribe, comment. Just let me know what you think about the ideas. I could be mistaken. I could be disillusioned by something, but I think ultimately we need to have this conversation and this dialogue. So until next time, take it easy. Peace and love.